Bring Her Back is the best Australian horror movie of the year, and some horror fans are even saying that Bring Her Back is the best global horror movie for 2025. So what's with all the hype about this movie?
He's stuffed.
Yeah, no, he's dead. I know I'm a weirdo.
Today, BP Coop and I do a deep dive review of the latest South Australian horror movie hit that's written and directed by Michael and Danny Philippou.
Keep the camera straight. Thank you.
So join us as we discuss the good, the bad, and the very ugly of Australia's latest horror movie hit. You're watching the Complete Guide to Horror Movies podcast. Thank you for tuning in. If you're a new viewer, hit that subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much. You get an extra hello.
Hello!
This podcast is dedicated to taking a deeper look at everything to do with the horror film world, whether it be, the latest releases, unearthed hidden gems, personal favorites, TV shows, movies, video games, you name it, we'll cover it. Spoilers are ahead, of course, so make sure you watch Bring Her Back first. Otherwise, if you want to be spoiled, feel free to continue. We do talk about everything though, so this is your spoiler warning. Bring Her Back is shaping up to be a modern horror classic and was recently nominated for an outstanding 16 nominations at the AACTA Awards. They're Australia's equivalent of the Oscars, so this is a huge deal. And the nominations were across the major categories, so this includes Best Film, we also have Best Lead Actress for Sally Hawkins, and 3 supporting acting nominations for Jonah Wren Phillips, Sally Ann Upton, and Sora Wong. It also collects nominations across directing, editing, cinematography, sound, and casting, cementing its status as a leading force in this year's feature competition. This is a huge triumph for horror and for Michael and Danny Philippou. Now let's get on with the podcast.
Come on.
Welcome back, fans and friends, to the Complete Guide to Horror Movies podcast. Today we are discussing Bring Her Back, the 2025 Australian horror film, directed by Danny and Michael Philippou, and written by Danny Philippou and Bill Hinzman. The film stars Billy Barratt, Sora Wong, Jonah Wren Phillips, and of course, Sally Hawkins. The plot follows 2 step-siblings who find themselves orphaned and placed in the middle of an occult ritual by their new, sinister foster mother. Now, this is a movie that is by Rackaracka, also known as the Philippou brothers. They also did Talk to Me, which was released in 2023. Very bold choice, in my opinion, to essentially not do a sequel to Talk to Me, because that's what everyone wanted them to do, and instead they chose to do their own path. I think this is a standout movie, and I think it is something that they correctly did to break away from being typecast as, there's this common thing in Australia where we have a successful movie and straight away those filmmakers have to do a sequel. We saw it with Saw 1 and Saw 2, and here I think they very cleverly deviated from that formula. I loved this movie. There's definitely some parts that made me just what's the word I'm looking for? It is very rare that I'll watch a movie through my fingers in some scenes. I mean, of course, Final Destination, we all know that. But this one with the knife scene, holy shit. And I'm going to bring this up first and foremost because that's what a lot of people will talk about. I couldn't believe it. It was so graphic and violent that, shout out to the brothers too, and also the visual effects team, because it was clearly practical effects. I've watched a lot of videos behind the scenes on how they did that type of scene. Just incredible all around, from the acting with the child actor all the way through to the placement of things like the table and having like the fake mouth and everything. It is so visceral and so jarring, and I'm out of breath. Apart from that, overall thoughts, really liked everything about this movie. I do have a tiny bit of criticism, which we'll talk about in least favourite parts, but huge shout out to Sally Hawkins. I mean, this is one of the best horror performances of all time, if not the best horror performance all year. I'm going to save it for favourite parts. So Coop, we'll start with you. What did you think about this movie?
I thought this was really good. I like that we touched on the fact that they didn't just go straight into making Talk to Me 2 or Talk to Me, and actually sort of, I mean, it's still within the horror genre. It's still, there's a lot of similar themes in this, and I think we probably all noticed in Talk to Me, to quote, what is it, Halloween Dies or whatever it is. There's a lot of talk about trauma, so trauma is a big part of sort of the backdrop. It's like It's a yeah, it's a big part of it. And I thought it explored those themes really, really well in this. It's a very uncomfortable movie. It's not it's not scary. It's just you're kind of completely unnerved the whole time. You're just kind of
Mm,
like, ugh. And I think the score has a lot to do with that as well. The score in this is really good, and the sound
mm,
design
mm,
is fantastic. The way that it sort of draws you in, I feel like everybody did a good job in their roles as well. Sally Hawkins fucking smashed this. Like, it's such a good performance. But I've also got to give it up to Sora Wong as well,
mm,
who had no acting
mm.
mm.
experience prior to this, which is
Yeah.
crazy considering the performance that we saw on screen. Like,
Mm,
really, really impressive. Billy Barratt as Andy was great as well. I don't think nobody was lacking in this movie when it came to
Mm.
sort of the performance, and it's just so refreshing to see a cast that's just spot on, like throughout the whole thing. Like almost every movie, there's at least one bad actor or
yep.
someone that's not dealing too well with the material, or a dialogue that isn't particularly well put together. But this was very natural in how it was presented. I won't go into my favorite parts yet, although I'm very tempted to. But overall, enjoyed it. Very good follow up to Talk to Me. Great acting. Um, the direction of the movie, the structure of it just flowed really effortlessly. I don't think
Mm.
there was a point in this movie where I was kind of like, all right, is it, what's going to happen now? I'm getting impatient or anything like that. You're just kind of in it for the ride. And yeah, shout out to the Philippou brothers. They've smashed this. I'm definitely keen to see more of what they do because they've clearly kind of left their mark and stamped in like, all right, yes, we're here. And
Mm,
yeah, would definitely recommend to people to check this out. Maybe not for those that are a bit squeamish, um, and maybe not to people that have very recently dealt with grief. I feel like this
mm, mm,
could bring up some things that could be very difficult for people as well. But for someone that's gone through it and come out the other end and watch this can definitely appreciate sort of everything that went into this production. So yeah, thumbs up.
yep.
Yep,
Mm,
absolutely. Now, before we get into BP's overall thoughts, just to highlight Sora as well, because um, I read this in an article yesterday, actually. So there was a casting call for her character, and Sora, of course, has collarbono and microphthalmia, which is a vision impairment.
mm,
And with that, so clearly that was meant to be part of the story the whole way through with that character. And the reason why I spotlight this is it is very rare to have any type of disability representation in horror films. I feel that Australia is quite I don't know if it's Australia's necessarily ahead, but I feel like we give more opportunities to like marginalized communities, etc. So to see the Philippou brothers, I always keep calling them rackaracka. I know they're not just rackaracka, but
mm,
they want to give roles to people who are in different communities, which I always appreciate in horror. But with that too, you're absolutely spot on, Coop. Like the fact that she's had no prior acting experience is insane to think of because she does such a standout job.
mm.
But before we go even further, BP, what are your thoughts on Bring Her Back?
Yeah, I very much enjoyed this movie. I think this is one of the better recent horror movies, Australian horror movies we've seen, which is really good. Um, I do like, as we sort of mentioned, that it's a standalone, just separate title from these directors and not associated with Talk to Me. I'm sort of glad that they apparently there is an Easter egg in here. I think one of the actors from the Talk to Me actually is in this, from what I read, or appears somewhere in it as an Easter egg cameo from Talk to Me. But anyway, yeah, I thought the direction was great. As Coop said, the score was really good. Even just like the sound effects, particularly like with the knife sounds, I was like,
Mm.
just made me actually cringe. Like not cringe, sorry, I just yeah, I was disgusted by it. Yeah, what's her name? Yeah, Sally Hawkins. Such a weird role, kind of like a loving mother, but also like fucked up as well, and just you just couldn't pick her, and she would kind of snap at moments you didn't anticipate either. Like sometimes you could, and then even like at the start, like a good example is when she gets the selfie photo and she takes the photo and then blocks the brother out.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I saw it, I was like, oh, it's either bad editing. And then when you see the photo, I'm like, oh, she obviously did it deliberately. So it's like clear from the front that she's not really interested in the brother to start with. Yeah, there's some really good camera angles. There's a couple nice drone shots I really liked. I thought the setting was really good. The rain really helped. Sometimes I find rain in horror is a bit put on or just added for the sake of rain, and
Yeah.
but I think in this it worked really well. Couple of negatives, but I'll sort of go into that. But nothing too bad. I think this is, like I said, a pretty good Australian horror. And yeah, I'm glad it's making money. It's slowly been rolling out around the world, and looks like yeah, it's getting a bit of money elsewhere. So it's good to sort of see Australian productions now, being put on notice and going global, I guess. And these guys did a really good job. So yeah, props to them.
Now, in terms of favorite parts, I'm going to spotlight the acting, and also the actors and also the characters themselves, because one huge noticeable difference I took with this film is the fact that these teenage characters are played by teenage actors, or if they are a bit older than teenagehood or whatever, they look like 17 years old, 14 years old with the pimples and everything like that. Typically, when teenagers are shown in movies and TV shows, they always have like six-pack abs and polished faces and everything. That's not the teenage experience at all. And I mean, to me, I was like, oh, this is clearly an Australian movie, because we like to get into the realistic nitty-gritty of things with appearances. That's also something I observed with Talk to Me. The acting, I mean, it's hard to sum this up in just like a simple little podcast where, Sally Hawkins does such a fantastic job. And the reason why I keep going on about this is because I hated the character throughout most of this movie. But then you get those parts where you genuinely feel so awful for her. And, to have an audience, still root for your character after she's done all this crazy shit. Like, how much, like, pain and damage she inflicted on these poor kids, especially the youngest one. And then also just all the other weird shit she did, like, what did she do again? It's like she pees into the cup and all that, and then pours it on the kid. I'm just like, what the fuck? But that's how good the writing is with this. Also had that unnerving feeling throughout. I was always waiting for something to happen. It's like, well, shit, what's gonna happen now? Is she gonna like run over these people, or what's gonna happen to the daughter? And is this like an original idea? Yeah, mostly. I mean, definitely takes influence from other horror movies, but I don't see that as a bad thing. Like, a horror movie doesn't have to be 100% original for it to be entertaining. So, yeah. Otherwise, also, actually, I might save the music for Yourself or Coop, but I was somewhat surprised by some of the music choices in this movie, but it makes sense given that it's, Australia. But yeah, I have plenty of other favorite things, but I don't want to hog the spotlight. So, Coop, I'll leave it up to you. What are your favorite parts?
I'm glad you touched on the acting because, yeah, it really is phenomenal. Sally Hawkins should be nominated for an award for this performance because there's just so many layers to that performance. Like you mentioned, that she's so manipulative and vile, but you also can't help but feeling bad for her. Like, it's such, and then you're like, no, I shouldn't feel bad for her. Like, look at what she's doing. Like, she's literally, it's touched on, like, it's implied that she even killed the dad. Like that scene where they're in the hospital and she's like, oh, do you think that it's because your father was in the shower when I killed him? And then because he's like half awake, and then she sort of changed. Like, it's just, there's so many of these subtle things to her performance that's just so it's just so unnerving to watch, and like it kind of puts the viewer in an interesting predicament where you've got to weigh up how much you hate this character versus how much you pity this character, which is always can be a very difficult thing to pull off. Like I mentioned, Billy Barratt Sora Wong, amazing. Sally Ann Upton as Wendy, great performance as well. And she's really got a lot of range,
Yeah.
Sally Ann Upton, because I've seen her play like a hardened criminal that beats people up in Wentworth.
Yeah.
I've seen her as like kind of like the kooky, nosy neighbor in Neighbor. Like she's and now in this where she's just like obsessed with green, but like
Yeah.
also a bit shady, like with the comment of oh, good thing she's blind when she's
Yeah.
checking out. But like there's lots of little bits of comedy in this movie that like
Yeah.
very subtle that
Mm.
works really well. As we mentioned, the sound design is incredible, particularly that scene with the knife. Like that's just so
Yeah.
fucking jarring.
Mm.
The visual effects and makeup in this movie is so good. Like, and for a lot of people, teeth is a big thing in horror movies.
Yes.
When I originally saw this at the cinemas, but then rewatched it the other day with my partner, Limp Bizkit, run it. And I had to, like, we've got a deal whenever there's something to do with like hair, teeth, or nails. I give her the warning of like, this is coming up. You might not want to see this because it really, like, yeah, she really struggles with it. So I knew there was a few points in this where like I had to be ready to be like, all right, maybe don't watch this bit.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about the knife part, but what was more grating to me, well, there's two things that were more grating for me as a viewer, was another teeth thing where he's biting into the wood
Yeah.
and his teeth are literally crumbling as he's chewing bits of wood off, and then there's bits of timber and splinter in his gums, and it's just like, holy shit, like they did not hold back on that at all and did such a good job. And yeah, Jonah Wren Phillips is, he's an up and comer. That kid is another phenomenal actor. And the other thing that really kind of like irked me was when Laura puts on the deodorant and then hits his sister in the middle of the night. Like that, it just comes out of nowhere, and you're like, "Holy shit!" Like, and it just activated something. Like, wanted to dive at the TV. Like, fuck off! Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's insane. The way that it built to sort of, it was a climax, but it wasn't a climax. Like, I remember leaving the cinema just feeling kind of empty. And sometimes that's a bad thing, and sometimes that's of like grief, overcoming it, mixed in with the horror and the manipulation and everything. I think that makes sense, and so I think they did a really good job with the ending and pulling that off, because I think a lot of people would just, all right, let's get as violent and gruesome and gory as possible at the end, but it kind of really didn't. And you're just kind of feeling like, just wondering how Connor Bird is gonna live his life after this with everything he's been through. And good God, I hope they start a GoFundMe to help with his dental costs. Jesus Christ, that poor fucking kid. But yeah, and the story throughout, the way that it sort of built on that tension, and it sort of gave you little tidbits of sort of what was going on, but you always knew something was up, but just the structure and the pacing of how things were revealed to you was kind of like, it was such a nice simmer to this movie. And then there was also those just really intense parts as well. Like, you know, you've got the vision of him in the shower and the flashbacks of him not doing anything when she's giving him mouth to mouth. Like, some of that is just so fucking confronting. You're thinking about like not only a kid finding a dead parent, but or two kids finding a dead parent, one of them kind of being frozen and one of them being a blind kid who then has to do whatever she can to bring him back while he's choked on his own vomit, is just like, whoa, far out. But yeah, I could go on. Like, it really is a phenomenal movie, and everyone involved should give themselves a pat on the back. And I think, because it was A24, this, wasn't it?
I think so.
But I think a South Australian production.
But they need to throw more money at the Philippou brothers and at Australian productions in general, because this, you wouldn't see this movie done in America.
No.
Like, if there's like, and I'm calling it now, like, I just know that Blumhouse is listening in, like, oh, what a great idea! I'm going to do a remake and bring it back. Get fucked, don't you fucking I'm nipping it in the bud right now, but
Mm,
it just it's just such a true testament to Australian filmmaking and like
yeah.
how proud of everyone involved and
Mm,
yeah, so
mm,
very good. Check it out.
mm.
Absolutely. Two things you raised, Coop. So, one, that teeth scene, in particular, the one where he's biting into the wood. So, over my adult life, I've actually lost a few of my adult teeth. Obviously, not by eating wood, but doing things like I once bit into a brownie that had a screw in it. And it
Oh,
chopped and it took out half of one of my back teeth, so I had to get that replaced. But
Yeah.
straight away, that scene of the kid biting into the wood took me back to that, and I was just like, get it out of my head, and get this off my
yeah.
screen. And then, the fact that they show so much detail in that scene as well, with the splinters and the teeth cracking and then the bleeding, I was just like, I haven't seen this level of visual effects where I wouldn't necessarily say it's over the top, but
Yeah.
it's realistic
Yep.
to a
Yeah.
degree.
Yep.
If there were visual effects done into it, like computer graphics or whatever, I'd be very surprised because it all looked real to me.
Yeah.
So straight away, I just it's a different level of what the fuck.
Mm.
And I do have another scene in mind, but I'll talk about it after BP has a chance. So BP, what are your favorite parts of Bring Her Back?
Well, Sally Hawkins definitely. No one's touched on it yet, but there's two scenes that made me feel so awkward and uncomfortable. One was with the dad at the funeral, and she's like, "Kiss him
Yeah.
on the lips."
Oh,
Yeah.
that.
I don't think I would kiss my parents on the lips. I don't know. It's just really weird. And then like she does this sort of manipulation and gaslighting, sort of saying like everyone does it, like just do it. And then the other one is obviously with the when she puts the deodorant on, hits the sister, and then the sister's like, "Oh, what I smelt you," and then makes him feel bad. And then even when he pisses the bed, I think at the second or the third night, and he gives her the clothing, and then she's like, "Piss." And just
Yeah.
puts him on the spot about it, and I just felt so uncomfortable.
That's piss.
She really kind of drove this movie, to be honest, the whole thing. I thought she was really good, and like you both said, you love her, you hate her, she frustrates you, like it's sad. It's like all a mix of emotions throughout, and she just does such a good job of it. The one scene no one mentioned yet, I'm surprised I haven't mentioned yet, is with the with Oliver when he's biting his arm
Yeah.
and eating it, like he's ripping
Yeah,
the skin off,
yeah.
and the sound effects in that.
Ugh.
It was really good, actually. Like, it was a good scene. It was just like disgusting. You're biting at the knife. I thought the effects in that were really good, and even like the mouth effects. I was watching it, and I was like, they did such a good job with whatever they've done there. I don't know if it was CGI or actually practical effects with what they did with his mouth, because it genuinely looked like he was missing teeth.
Yep.
What else did I have? Yeah, I really liked the social worker, and I really like when the mum and the social worker are sort of like arguing, and she's like, "Let go of me, love," and then it just gets, she's like, "Get the fuck off me!" And then,
Yeah.
and then I didn't even. And the great thing about this movie is, okay, she's going to make it to the car. Did not even think the 4-wheel drive will come out of nowhere,
Yeah.
like it did. And then there's that shot later of the social worker's head, which is pretty much bludgeoned. Yeah, the whole thing is just a blood fest, but they do it in a good way. We talk about blood, sometimes too much blood is not a great thing, and I think this movie does it effectively. I think the blood genuinely looks legitimate in most of the scenes. What else did I have? Like I said, the camera angles were good. There was some really nice drone shots and some like presentation shots, I guess, of the property, which worked really well. I think with Australia, particularly with the casting, like you said, Justin, we just genuinely go for that, whereas America will just put a 35-year-old as a 17-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Yep.
The only thing in this is just like hilarious because he's got braces, but they obviously couldn't do anything about that because he probably would have just had braces before he was even casted. So that's just part of it, and you don't really think of it. But I'm sort of glad Australia just gets to the nitty gritty of that, like with the gore and that, and doesn't sort of hold back unlike American markets, or America does with a lot of their productions. So, yeah, I think they did a pretty good job with this.
Yeah. To your point too, BP. So like these characters, for instance, like the brother, the sister, Oliver, the little boy, and everything, they could easily be next door neighbors because of how they look with like the pimples, the braces.
Yep.
They look like everyday Australians. Even the foster mother. And I like the way that they dressed her character because she does look quite disarming and inviting. Because to me, she could be like the friendly librarian or something like that. Then finding out she has this really sinister side, it's just like, that's not how I would imagine you to be. And you brought up the scene that I was going to talk about after everyone's, which was the funeral scene with the kissing on the lips thing. I felt so uncomfortable because I think we all know this type of adult that is manipulative and gaslighting and tries to encourage us to do things that we're not comfortable with, and they just don't take no for an answer. So straight away I could just like feel my what's the word? I was like fighting to like get through the scene. I'm just like, oh fuck, I hate this. This is so uncomfortable. And yeah, manipulative adults. I mean, there's a lot of children who, I mean, I don't know why they'd watch this movie because this is quite a, violent horror film. But I do wonder if some children will watch this and think, oh, I have a parent like this, or I know an adult like this who has been very manipulative in that same sense. Even the same thing which you mentioned, BP, with the scenes where she does make fun of him for wetting the bed and everything, even though she's the one that has been doing it. It's that type of shit that like really fucking gets on my nerves. Because it's just like, hey, when I was a child, I used to wet the bed too. And there would be some adults that'd be like, did you wet the bed again? And it's like, hello, I'm 8 years old. Like, what the fuck you want me to do?
I think the thing with her as well is that it's the direction of, I guess, her delivery and what she's going to react to certain situations. You just don't know until it gets to it, which is great. It's not like that. It's kind of leading to a point where she's just going to constantly criticize, because then all of a sudden she'll like congratulate, like, when they're drinking and they're having a good time, but then it's like the next day it's like, oh, piss, did you piss the bed? Like you just can't pick it, which I think is really good in this movie. It's sort of a big question mark as you watch it, because you just don't know how she's going to react to really anything. So
it's like she's purposely trying to be the rebellious cool mum that's like, oh, it doesn't matter if you're under 15, I'll let you drink alcohol and we'll have a party. And then the next day it's like, why didn't you kiss your dad on the lips? And it's like, what the fuck do you want?
Everyone does it.
Kind of reminds me of like a whiter version of Bar. Like, don't make me drink alone.
I was gonna say, like, there's elements of Mar, and I feel like we've seen it in maybe like The Visit or something. Maybe like a bit of The Grandparents. Like, there's elements of it, but I think she does a really good role of it altogether. Maybe a little bit of Mar, actually.
Misery, maybe. I've got to bit of that.
Yeah,
Misery, actually. Yeah, good point.
Bates,
I just think that poor kid Oliver goes through so much in this movie, and then I hope he gets the happy ending, because everyone finds him. Hopefully that resolves things. Now, before we move on to least favorite parts, because I don't know whether to classify this as least favorite or least favorite, because the music in this caught me off guard a bit. So, we have Shannon Knoll with What About Me during the party scene. There's also the Veronicas, which, I mean, funnily enough, I didn't actually hear about this from Josh or Pablo. I thought they would have told me straight away, because, they're friends with the Veronicas. And so when it came on, I was just like, oh, these are, your typical 2000s Australian music. Like, great. I love that.
And there was that Alive by, who is it? Is it, no, not Zed, Alive. Da-na-na-na-na-na, alive, alive. When they're going to the house, when they first get there.
Oh, I don't remember.
I've heard it before. From beginning.
It's not Natalie Bassingthwaighte, is it?
No, it was what, I think it's like Naked and the Famous or something. One of them. Anyway.
But the music in this is very Australian. The color grading, look, I will say that the blood is definitely looks realistic. Nothing like a Saw 3D situation with the pink blood. But with that too, because there is some scenes that have huge amounts of blood in this, like when she's wiping it on the windows and everything. But I think that the color red is used sparingly just for these scenes, because it really impacts. Otherwise, I felt that it was, I don't know, nothing too special with color grading. yeah, that's all I can really say. Do either of you have any thoughts on like production values, anything like that?
Just very greeny bluey. I mean, the posters sort of give away, but that's kind of the vibe I get, particularly with the rain.
Yeah.
More a green bluey sort of tone throughout, even throughout the rain, and the ending. It's all, even when she's painting, it's like, yeah, very that sort of bluey hue color.
I did notice as well when the movie starts, before the dad dies, it's kind of more. There's so much more light and like different sort of range, more greens and yellows and that kind of thing. But then after he dies, and then it's pretty much just like miserable, overcast, or raining for the rest of the movie.
Yep.
And I like that approach because it reminds me of one of my favorite sort of color grading type things is The Ring.
Yeah.
Kind of bluey gray.
Yep.
It was just very just so kind of devoid of color.
Yep.
And the only color you get is, like you said, it's just the blood, really. Otherwise it's or Wendy with her green. She loves her green. But
in the green car, yeah.
Your green phone case.
Yeah. I didn't pick that up actually. Yeah.
Yes, my pussy's green.
We'll talk about least favorite parts. So I've got two main gripes with this movie. The first one is I didn't care for the what do you call it? The VHS instruction tape where it was, giving that foster mum instructions on how to bring her daughter back and everything. I don't think it blended well with the rest of the movie, and oftentimes when it came on, I was just like, "What's this about?"
Yeah.
Like, it's part of the opening scene and everything. And I was just like, I don't know, maybe if it was shown that the foster mom was more of a conspiracy nut, so, maybe this is just one of the videos she got from the dark web or something. But, it's important to highlight that this is how desperate she is to get her daughter back. My other gripe with this is actually the marketing. So everything from the posters to the trailers, I don't think a representative, like, it is a good representation of this movie. Like the poster, for instance, the main one that's up and around is of Oliver. And of course, you've got the foster mum with the band-aid and the smiley face. But you wouldn't know that that's the foster mum. Like, it's hard. And I do question whether, there were other posters. I mean, I would have liked something, and I'm just spitballing here, something simple where it's just maybe the foster mum in front of the pool or something. Something to really have something. Maybe she's got like a weapon or something. It could be videotape. It could be maybe she's got the window with the blood or something. It needs to be a bit more character focused as opposed to just focusing on the youngest character. The trailer, I felt that they were relying too much on Talk to Me, being like, we made this successful film, watch this one too. And it's like, but what's your new film about? like it's hard with trailers because a lot of trailers these days at Blumhouse give every part of the movie away in 2 minutes, whereas there are some successful trailers that just reveal a tiny little bit, but it still gets you hyped and excited to watch it. So how do filmmakers strike that balance? It's hard, but it can be done. So I just wanted more of that. Those are my only two major gripes with this movie. Now, Coop, do you have any least favorite parts?
I'm struggling to think of any, to be honest. Like I was thinking maybe but not really. Like I don't know. Like I can't put my finger on anything that pissed me off or anything like that. The only things that kind of annoyed me was, of course, all the manipulation and gaslighting and just how much of a cunt she was. But like that's the whole point. And the fact that it kind of makes you uncomfortable and angry, but it's meant to make you uncomfortable and angry, so I can't really think of anything sort of negative. I mean, some of the song choices were annoying. I never need to hear bloody What About Me, whether it's the Shannon Knoll version or the original. Like I live in Australia, I'm gonna have to listen to that song for the rest of my fucking life as it is. Like Eagle Rock's little played out in Australian movies as well. Like I've seen at least 5 Australian movies that have Eagle Rock in it. Like Daddy Cool's making them dollars, baby, still 50 years after that fucking song came out. So I guess, Eagle Rock annoyed me. I actually disagree with the trailer because I did see the trailer and I know I'm horrible. We've touched on it before. Like I fucking hate trailers. Like the double-edged sword of this podcast is I need to go to the movies to see things, but then I'm going to see a trailer for something that's going to then get spoiled for something new coming up.
Yep.
And there's a movie we're going to be touching on in this recording that's going to be a big thing. But with this, I don't think it gave too much away. It showed a lot of the VHS tape. I think it showed the scene of Ollie or Connor or the angel demon thing with the cat. It didn't give much away. So when I came into the movie, I didn't really know what it was about. And I feel like with movies like this, where it's sort of an unraveling mystery, that needs to be taken into account. That if you're spoiling the journey, you're kind of ruining the movie. So I didn't mind that. But I definitely get what you mean by saying, oh, well, what's it actually about? And how that can drive some people away. Like, I don't know, whatever. Like you said, oh, talk to me. That was good. Watch this. I get that, but I'm glad that I kind of went in, not even though I'd seen the trailer, not really knowing much about it. But yeah, negatives, Eagle Rock.
Right.
No, that's more than fair. Just to clarify too, did you see this trailer before you went and watched the movie or afterwards?
Before. So I think it was, I'm trying to think of what movie it was that I saw, but I did see the trailer for it. I think it was when I went and saw last summer. I think. I know you did last summer. I think that's when I saw it, but I did see it, I think, a couple of weeks before I actually saw this at the movies. So yeah.
Because I remember when the trailer came out, I'm hesitant to watch trailers, as I've said before, but I did watch the 4.5 minute one that came out, and it was the talk to me, then the words changed to bring her back or whatever. And I was like, okay, what's this about? And then I was already planning to see this anyway, because I loved Talk to Me anyway. But then by the end of the trailer, I was like, I'm unsure what this is about, but I'm still going to go see it anyway. Whereas when I watch it now, after I've watched Bring Her Back, I'm like, okay, they are smart by not revealing too much about it, but I just wish there was a bit more of a call to action to go see it in cinemas. It was kind of just like, maybe you could go see it, I don't know, maybe, cool. And it's like, part of marketing is you want to have that strong hook at the end. I'm not saying spoil the movie by any means, but maybe if it was just something like exclusive to cinemas or, something along the lines of just generating that hype for it. Which is hard because you then can go into parody territory where it's like demanded. And it's like, is anyone really demanding Paranormal Activity next of King? like really? But yeah. Now, BP, what were your least favorite parts?
I'm glad you both talked about the trailer and the poster. So I don't know if I saw the trailer. If I did, I skipped through it. I think, Coop, you've changed my mind about trailers, and I tend to avoid all horror movie trailers now because I've just been so disappointed in the past, which is a good thing. I think even at the movies, I'll just, like the other day, the Black Phone 2 came on. I just didn't want to watch it because I'd rather just watch it when it comes out.
Excuse me? I think I paid my money like everybody else up in here.
I'm kind of nitpicking. When I did see it in the movies, and when I watched it again, yesterday, I just felt like the second half wasn't maybe as strong as the first half. I know a lot of stuff happens in the second half, but for me, it just felt like it was lacking that pizzazz or a bit of like spark to kind of bring it home. And then like the ending was good. I think I just wanted something more at the ending rather than just like the shot of the pool and then the police coming in, because it just kind of simmered out rather than boiling out. But like I know a lot of stuff built up to that. It just felt a bit like it's just like it was a zoom in shot of her in the pool with the daughter, and then I think that's it, wasn't it? And then it ended. So I sort of said the ending was a bit kind of but I guess it was kind of part of the movie. That's kind of really it. It wasn't too long. I think it was appropriate, running time. There was enough happening pretty much in all of it to kind of keep you entertained. So can't really pick anything. I feel a bit bad with this movie because I feel like a lot of people are expecting another Talk to Me in that sense. I know like there was a lot of hype around being another Talk to Me kind of sequel. So I feel a bit bad that it's kind of baggaged in that kind of movie, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think on its own, it's still, a pretty good Australian horror films, particularly a recent one, because we've done some duds. We will do some duds down the track as well. But yeah, I think it's a good one that I can recommend to pretty much any horror fanatic.
Yep. And to your point too about the ending, you just know that if Blumhouse, when they get around to remaking this, they'll tack on an ending where it's like, oh, where are they now?
Yeah.
And it'll be like, the foster mom successfully brought her daughter back after killing 10 teenagers. She is now Freddy Krueger. And then it'll go to the poor kid who suffers all the pain and damage throughout the rest of this movie. They'll be like, Oliver grew up to work at KFC in his teenage years and then became an accountant. And it's like, fuck off, Blumhouse. No more. But also, this movie, even though we've talked about how Australian it is and everything, I don't feel that this has the same... how do I put it nicely? I have a vendetta against Screen New South Wales and Screen Australia in general, because I feel like whenever they take certain things like production values and cinematography, it's often quite shit. Yep. And I'm going to talk about specific examples like Sissy, which was a 2022 or 2023 horror movie. I fucking hated that movie so much. But also because the production values on that were so cheap. Whereas here, I get the impression that this is a major production. Like, do you both feel the same way or no?
Well, the budget, I mean, was 15 million. I don't think it feels 15 million, but it definitely does feel like quite a polished film, particularly for Australia. Like, I always go back to, like, it feels a bit like maybe Relic, but a little bit more spent on than Relic, because I thought Relic was decently produced. And this feels like a level up. Probably be even with Talk to Me, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Maybe the South Australian branch of Screen Australia just does everything differently, because this is the second feature by them in a row where I've always been impressed by the production value aspect. But also, did anyone else feel at the start of the movie where it's like all the logos coming in, like Screen South Wales, that was just like arriving flight productions?
Come on,
winded shoulder panting.
What was it? Yeah, exactly. What was that? This is not a cult film.
Yeah.
Like,
talk to Me still has the most. It was like 15 or whatever in that one. I'm like, oh, come on.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Like, just put them all on screen at once and just have a 30-second feature.
Yeah.
Now, I did ask our followers on Instagram what they thought of Bring Her Back. And let me bring that up. So, unknown_athleisure said that he loved this movie times 1,000. And 89 Noel said that it was really good and uncomfortable watch at times, but a solid film from the Philippou brothers. Which, I think we both agree.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this is a case where we'll have to agree to disagree.
I don't agree to that.
Neither do I.
Oh, this is a deli of a pickle.
Now, in terms of ratings for this movie, and I guess the final thoughts as well, I am going to give this 9 out of 10. I think that this is a very solid follow-up from the Philippou brothers, especially when, they face so much pressure and criticism to just essentially do Talk to Me, or Look Who's Talking Now, the Talk to Me 2 remix or whatever. That, I think that this was a solid choice by them. Again, can't really fault the movie. I'm only going to fault the marketing aspect. Great performances all around. This is definitely something that I'll rewatch in a couple of years' time. So, yeah, very happy. Coop, what do you give Bring Her Back?
So, as mentioned, I really enjoyed this and was kind of blown away by how good it was and the way it made me feel. And I'm sure lots of other people kind of felt very similar to that. I actually liked this more. They're different, but I did like this more than Talk to Me. And like I said, I'm really excited to see what the Philippou brothers do from here. Even if it is Talk to Me, I'm going to watch it. That's fine. But there's just so much potential there, and I love that it's sort of, like I said, showing the world how Australian horror gets down when it's got the actors, the script, and the budget to get it done. So I'm going to give it 9 jars of piss out of 10.
Piss. And last but not least, BP, what do you give Bring Her Back?
Look, I still think Talk to Me is slightly ahead just in overall, just with overall production and whatnot. I still think this is a close second for these guys. So I think for me, because I have a feeling I gave Talk to Me a 9 back in the day. I think 8 for me is good. Like I said, like you said, like great casting, great music, really good score. The blood was really well done. And it's somewhat of an original idea that hasn't been done before. Like, yes, sure, there's probably elements that we've seen in other films, but I couldn't. Good thing is, I wasn't really thinking of other films when I watched this, which is probably a good thing. There's nothing worse than being like, I've seen this before somewhere, and it's just annoying you for the whole movie. But yeah, I think overall, like I said earlier, this is a really good Australian horror movie, particularly in the 2020s. And these guys, deserve, I think, all the credit and the praise. And I'm looking forward to both Talk to Me and what else they've got to sort of just represent Australia a bit more. And it's always that thing, just, put these main guys on notice, Blumhouse and the likes, just to sort of say, like, look, we have good movies and original ideas. There's no reason, why you guys can't do that, and don't need to sort of copy ideas and do remakes and sequels and that sort of stuff. There's Talk to Me coming out. But yeah, 8 out of 10, really good movie. Yeah.
Nice. So our combined score is 8.666667 out of 10, which is great. Again, another excellent Australian horror film. And, I can't wait to release further episodes when we do talk about things that we've already recorded previously, like Body Melt. We're also recording an episode on Lake Mungo, which has been highly requested. So, yeah, very, very excited.
It's very exciting! Yes! It's very exciting!
Thank you all for watching, and a huge shout out to BP and Coop for joining me again this episode. In our next episode, we're going to analyze one of the most downright baffling, confusing, just shocking TV shows of all time that's lightly tinged with horror. I'm, of course, talking about Riverdale. I've made numerous references to this TV show in previous episodes. And is this TV show horror? Not necessarily, but there are some episodes that are definitely horror-tinged, especially when it comes to the themes of murder. There's also a lot of weird supernatural shit that happens in the later seasons. And we're going to analyze how this little TV show went from being quite a teen drama in its first season, all the way through to the later seasons that had superpowers and villains and time travel and just all this crazy shit. Plus, we mentioned haunted board games and guardian angels. This is how crazy the later seasons of Riverdale went. So join us for episode 110 as we discuss the pilot episode of Riverdale, and I also try to confusingly explain the remaining 7 seasons to my co-hosts. So yeah, don't miss it. Thanks for watching.